Στα αγγλικά, ότι έχουμε μαζί μας και την συνάδελφο τη Lindy Di Crew και έτσι... So, welcome to the Archaeological Research Unit for the MedSTACH Project's Info Day event. This is a number of info days that will be organized by the partners of a consortium, and each of them is targeted to a different audience. The aim of this info day is to present in an informal way the new center, which we hope to create, and to have a fruitful dialogue and interaction with all those of you who will hopefully be interested in collaborating with us in the future. So today's info day is targeted to museums, centers of cultural heritage, archaeological centers such as CARI, and obviously the colleagues from the university and others. We will have two brief presentations. The first will be by the coordinator of the project, Professor Fedonas Kyriakidis, who will speak to you in general and present the project. And then I will say a few words about how we can collaborate, and with a special focus on the things, on one of the key research domains that we have been mostly involved. So, Fedonas.
Good morning. My name is Fedonas Kyriakidis, and I'm a professor at the Department of Civil Engineering and Geomatics. At the Cyprus University of Technology. I'm the coordinator of this project, which is in close collaboration with the University of Cyprus and the Archaeological Research Unit. And I will present a brief overview of the framework within which the project has been submitted, and what is the general idea of this framework, and then the specifics of the project, again as an overview. And then, as Lina said, we will go into more focused discussion on how we can build bridges between the potential future center and people that are institutions that are working on in this area. So, as the title says, we are in the process of designing a new center, Eastern Mediterranean Science and Engineering and Technology Center of Excellence for Archaeology and Cultural Heritage, in short, MedSTACH. You all know that, I'm preaching to the converted here, that there are a lot of challenges for cultural heritage, threats, opportunities, threats due to technological change and social unrest, conflicts. Of course, the cultural heritage is under threat, and these threats also pose some opportunities with regards to protection and valorization of cultural heritage worldwide. Now, in Cyprus and the Eastern Mediterranean, we have the added threat or pressure due to dwindling state budgets linked to the financial crisis. And within this context, professionals working in cultural heritage are essentially trying to improve methodologies in order to better understand, protect, and essentially promote and have a better valorization of our common European past and identity. There are several needs. Some of those are shown here. We need to better understand existing or unlock hidden aspects of archaeological record, support the development of new theories and expand existing theories, effectively manipulate the huge amount of information accumulated over the years, assist archaeological research in the new digital age, and essentially insulate endangered heritage monuments and sites from various natural and or anthropogenic hazards. Now, the crux of the project essentially is the link of cultural heritage with real economy. And we all know that there are several studies and examples around Europe and the world that have shown that cultural heritage essentially can boost real economy. and methods and technologies that improve all the aspects around cultural heritage, such as documentation, analysis, preservation, and exhibition, promotion. All those offer great potential for societal and educational valorization of cultural heritage. And essentially, the above methods can also act as early warning signals for protecting, for policy making. And we hope, or I guess not only we, but everybody hopes that we could provide essentially a bridge between development and growth, taking into account the heritage, archaeological record, and cultural heritage as a whole. And essentially, we want to use that as one aspect of future development and sustainable growth. Now, the teaming framework, which I will talk about in a moment, dictates that the projects are essentially linked to what it's called smart specialization, which means how we make policy, changes in the way we take decisions, changes in the way we do science and we do business. And essentially, smart specialization is a collective process adopted by the 16 European countries, including Cyprus, in order to identify strengths and opportunities and the unique characteristics of each country, and essentially identify competitive advantages and build on excellence-driven research and provide a vision for the future. Now, for Cyprus, the Smart Specialization Strategy, which is a document that has been around since 2013, I believe, somewhere there, for 15. Okay, thank you. Has identified several horizontal priorities and several vertical pillars on which the strategy proposes that Cyprus places several resources and promotes research and activities in these fields. So in the core priority, there is environmental dimensions of sustainable growth, where cultural heritage resides. Several other pillars, horizontal dimensions like innovation, human capital development, promotion of cooperation, extroversion, essentially go outwards and look outwards and build collaborations, and ICT, which is this part here, the digital part. And the vertical sectors are some key priorities. The two biggest ones are tourism and energy. And secondary sectoral priorities such as agriculture, food and built environment, and transportation and health. So our proposal essentially is in here, all right, so touches this part mainly, has several links with these priorities, and essentially we are capitalizing on possible, potential, existing and future links with tourism. Right, so we'll see that this links of the project with these priorities is essentially depicted on the consortium also. So so we're trying to take the view of cultural heritage, research, education and support within the smart specialization framework. And several groups working on the smart specialization strategy have clearly indicated that cultural heritage has essentially a multiplicative economic effect, mainly through tourism, and is a key pillar on which future growth of Cyprus should be based, one of the pillars. So MedSTACH, which is the project that we're dealing with, aims to take advantage of the geographical position of Cyprus to promote innovative technologies intended for cultural heritage in the Eastern Mediterranean region, and hopefully at the European level and beyond. And smart specialization essentially provides the framework on how Cyprus should seek to further enhance its unique advantages, promote job creation, which is a key part, and social cohesion. So we are building upon the major priority of this strategy, which is tourism, And essentially, cultural heritage is one of the few factors which has shown resilience to the financial crisis that we have been experiencing. Now, what is Teaming for Excellence? Teaming for Excellence is a financial funding framework that essentially aims to build collaborations between low-performing in terms of research and development states, such as countries like as Cyprus, Malta, Slovenia, Slovakia, Portugal, Bulgaria. So those countries are intended to build links with institutions in high-performing states. Greece is one of them, the UK, Germany, and other countries like that. And the goal is essentially to create new or to upgrade in a major way existing centers, so either create new centers or upgrade existing ones by partnerships through institutions in low-performing states and high-performing states. So MedSTACH was a very successful proposal that was ranked very high, actually first. There were 3 Cypriot proposals that had the same very minor differences, and they all had 15 out of 15 excellent scores. One of those was MedSTACH. So the funding is 0.4 million euros for a period of 1 year in order essentially to design this new center, to create a business plan. And that business plan will be submitted for evaluation, and then aspects of the business plan will be placed in a new proposal that is will be submitted on November 15th of 2018. And that proposal, if successful, will give us access to 15 million euros from the European Union, with the almost certain possibility of additional equal amount of co-funding from the Cypriot government for a period of 15 years. So there are some details on how the funding will be allocated through the years from the European Union and from the Cypriot government. But basically, these are the numbers. So the MedSTACH vision is essentially to establish Cyprus as an excellent hub in archaeology and cultural heritage in the Eastern Mediterranean region, capitalizing on multidisciplinary research and technological innovation. And to this end, key Cypriot public academic institutions and national policy makers and stakeholders are teaming up with leading international research and academic institutions to design this new center that we were talking about. The partners, the Cyprus University of Technology with the University of Cyprus, are the 2 universities that have been closely collaborating in this. The Department of Antiquities and the Cyprus Tourism Organization are essentially forming the Cypriot-based consortium part. And our high-performing partners are the Institute of Archaeology at the University College London, UCL, and the Foundation for Research and Technology, the Laboratory of Geophysical and Archaeoenvironment, all based at Rethymnon and Apostolos Saris' group. Needless to say that not only those groups, the Institute of Archaeology or the Geoarchaeology Environmental Archaeology Lab, are the only members of those institutions. We will reach out in other departments of our universities and of their institutions. So it's not only those specific ones that I've mentioned, it's all Forth and all UCL that essentially is and will be potentially involved in the project. So we would like to build the necessary scientific and technological environment to advance state-of-the-art in archaeology and cultural heritage research and related application services in Cyprus, the Eastern Mediterranean region and beyond. And we will do that in a way that has to be and is, and it's proven to be because we got a very good mark, aligned with the smart specialization strategy for Cyprus. So it's not only research for the research, it's only research for job creation and for what we call coordination and support actions, which essentially says that the amount of the European funding, the 15 million, goes to actions that are intended to build the environment to support excellent research. Right? So we will have actions that go through training, network building, exchanges, all kinds of supporting activities that aim to elevate or enhance research and training and activities related to cultural heritage in Cyprus, with a big focus outwards in the Eastern Mediterranean. So one could say that this is a unique alliance for Cyprus in terms of the scale, which means that we have quite a diverse number of partners, and their expertise is complementary and diverse, and the duration of involvement of these partners in this project is 15 years. Right? So if we get this, which we hope we will, we are essentially getting into a marriage, so to speak, for 15 years down the road. So it's this framework will make us be together and collaborate for at least 15 years and hopefully beyond. So we hope that Cyprus will become a pole of attraction, or even more, a pole of attraction for scientists and researchers from the Eastern Mediterranean region and the rest of the world, under the what is dictated by the Smart Specialization Strategy and the mandate for new job creation. So the teaming framework provides the means to do so, and we are very happy that we are in this process with the University of Cyprus and all our partners. And I have said before, and I will say again, that this is a truly joint effort, and we're working very closely, particularly with the University of Cyprus, in this respect. So what are the phase 1 objectives? So phase 1 is 1 year. We have to design this center. The design has to be backed up with numbers that prove essentially the sustainability of the center beyond the duration of the funding of the European Union. So essentially, after the 7 years, we need to prove that the momentum that's going to be built through these activities will be enough to sustain this center with some form by seeking essentially competitive funding. And an example would be that, let's say, more than 70% of the center's funding comes from projects, other competitive funding activities, and much less from the state or other permanent sources. So we need to strengthen research collaboration essentially with the 2 largest universities of Cyprus, public ones, and the key national stakeholders. We will seek and establish collaborations with potential innovation clusters from the private sector, the industry, and relevant existing research centers, regional stakeholders, academic institutions from Cyprus, and the Eastern Mediterranean and beyond. And we will seek to identify local gaps and organizational barriers that have hampered the study, the understanding and safeguarding of cultural heritage. So this is essentially building up the coordination and support actions through the region. And we need, of course, to disseminate and provide essentially outreach through the region and Cyprus and beyond. So here is a pictorial of the structure, let's say the research structure of the center. We have heritage exploration, key research domain, spatial inference and analysis, material characterization and heritage protection, and there is an information and communication technology unit that supports and promotes the mission of the pillars of these key research domains. And we would like essentially to seek and establish links with government policymakers and user society, academia, of course, and the private business sector. Easy to say, hard to do. That's why the European Union has devised this measure, this funding framework that says, well, if you're going to do that, you need money, and you need to be partners for a long time. Okay, so that's the idea. So heritage exploration, you all know about this aspect. So remote sensing, geophysical technologies, archaeological exploration, mainly on detection and identification of areas bearing archaeological interest. Wide range of non-invasive and non-contact techniques, space observation, aerial photographies, and ground geophysical prospection. Spatial analysis includes GIS, geocomputation, geoanalytics, in order to better understand the role of a site within a unique context and the role and position within the socioeconomic environment in different time periods. Different ability to work with different types of data from different sources, heterogeneous archaeological data from excavations, literature sources, cadastral, aerial photography, archival images, and so on. And heritage protection, all the technologies and activities that are intended essentially to embrace standing monuments involving IT, GIS, non-contact and lab analysis at the monument, at the landscape level, providing the necessary diagnostic tools and methodologies for a detailed study. So we will essentially try to promote and develop technologies in use existing and promote and develop new ones for guarding against hazards, climatic change, risk management, and so forth. Material characterization, all the existing tools, knowledge, methodologies, technologies that are used to characterize materials. Research activity will be at the field and in the laboratory in order to assess practices, best practices, and appropriate methods, methodologies for the study of ancient materials, their physiochemical and microstructural characterization, sampling strategies, geochemical analysis, thin sectioning, microscopy, and so forth. The Heritage ICT unit essentially is the backbone of the center in terms of its information capacity and data storage, data sharing, linked data, open data, digitization, database management, ontologies and metadata creation, digital archiving, web services, and so forth. The idea behind this is that the units, the key research domains will be amassing a huge amount of data or use existing data, and we will need support in terms of those technologies. So there will be innovation in this unit per se, but there is also going to be support for the activities of the other key research domains. Here is the same pictorial as before. And we highlight several actions. So we have research actions, science, technology, innovation, new funding projects, publishing papers, and so forth. We have societal and horizontal actions, such as outreach, society, science for the broader public, activities towards the industry. And we have educational actions, let's say course upgrade, creation of new modules, possibly a multidisciplinary master's program, workshops and educational programs, services, and so forth. So we need to design activities and propose ways to go forward in these three categories of actions. And the links with professional groups. So the idea is that we will be establishing or building upon already established links and collaborations with professional groups such as archaeologists, historians, civil engineers, land evaluators, geologists, information and communication technology professionals, game industry, movie makers possibly, hotels, tour operators, municipalities. Again, easy to say, hard to do, but the info days essentially are divided according to those groups of stakeholders and entities, institutions. So we'll have an info day with a tech, which is the Technical Chamber of Cyprus, and we will have those groups there. We'll have a info day from the Cyprus tourism organizations that will target those groups, and you are now in this info day. And we will also be talking to private companies and other players that are related essentially to development of either material, digital material, films and so forth around cultural heritage. The expected impact will be, hopefully, and we have to prove that it will be, economical, societal and environmental. So economical in terms of impact on tourism, that means that we seek to expand the tourist season essentially to go to attract people also outside the summer season due to specific interests in cultural heritage. Job creation, technological innovation, transmission of knowledge, regional development. On society, education, intellectual dialogue, local, regional, transnational identity and quality of life. And on the environment, sustainability, protection, preservation, and so forth. So we have at least convinced in the first phase, and that is being corroborated by the excellent score we got, that we have a plan, and at least we can convince people that what we designed, at least as a proposal, is going to do this. Now we need to prove that we will have the money and will be sustainable to continue to do this after the 7 years. Right? So there will be also a long-term sustainability plan. That's the business plan, and that aspects of the business plan will be embedded in the next proposal. The key strengths are, of course, the mission and vision, research umbrella of the two largest public universities of Cyprus, innovation, geospatial information technologies, archaeology and material characterization from recipient-based consortium, renowned partners, long history on successful research and education activities, needless to say that. And we are aligned with the smart facilitation strategies for Cyprus, so we have proved, at least for the first phase, to be so successful again, that we have a plan to link these activities with job creation and sustainable job creation. And we have support from local stakeholders and end users. We have also capitalized on the unique geographical position of Cyprus. And we have proposed a way forward to build links or capitalize on existing links between entities such as the ARU or the Department of Antiquities with similar departments and institutions in the region. And we need to create a set of activities that will make those links permanent and money-making and sustainable. In a way that we will convince, hopefully, the European Union that this can be done. So the position, the Eastern Mediterranean outlook, and the capitalization on existing links and creation of new links with institutions around the region and beyond. Supporters, we have essentially those are the list of entities that had support letters. Now, there is a crux here, because in the second phase, those support letters are not enough. In the sense that we need to, for us to succeed, we need to convince that we are sustainable. All right? So we need, at some point, commitment letters. I'm not saying that we need it from you, but that we are needing it to make the proposal better. Support letters say that, I like the project, it's very interesting, and I would like to collaborate. Commitment letter says that I will do this and this and this and this in the 7 years duration and beyond, and that could be scholarships, could be joint proposals, could be training, could be to give some stuff. So all could be even money. Right? So all these are commitment letters. So we will be reaching out for those types of letters, and we'll be trying to establish links with all the entities I was talking about to essentially craft some link, and that link should be materialized in terms of a commitment letter. So not everybody, we don't say that we're going to do that with everybody, but that's our intention. Imagine come and this info day and the other info day that will be following that, the feedback info day, essentially tries to do that, tries to say how can you benefit from this center, and how can that benefit be translated to our benefit and to your benefit through a commitment letter. Right? So I'm not saying that everybody is here will not go out the door without giving us a commitment letter. I'm saying I'm just explicating what is our one of our goals. Right? So keep that in mind. And again, this info day is about, and as Lina will present today, right now, is about potential ways that we have thought about, and we are more than glad to hear from you, how these links can be established and how these collaborations can be made on a more permanent and financially viable way. Thank you.
So, this is, I think, the first info day for the MedSTACH project. So, and it's supposed to be one of two. So, in 6 months, I think, or 5 months, we will invite you again when things have progressed, and then we can go back to discuss things that we've said today. So, how is the MedSTACH project relevant to you? The project offers the opportunity for a high-speed lift to excellence through a large-scale alliance for cultural heritage in Cyprus and the Eastern Mediterranean. It's a game changer. We will have, if we manage to get this project, which is extremely competitive, 30 projects have passed, and there will be 20 more that are. So there will be 50 of us competing for a maximum of 12 projects. If we manage to do this, then we have the opportunity of creating a center that will be, I hope, a center of excellence for the whole Eastern Mediterranean, and one that will be able to collaborate and fulfill needs that your institutions have, but also Cyprus in general and the area. So the key points, Fedonas has already discussed them. We want to establish this science, engineering, technology center of excellence dedicated to archaeology and cultural heritage in the Eastern Mediterranean. We were ranked first out of the 200 or so applications. I have to tell you that out of the 30 that passed, Cyprus had 9. So it was a big success for Cyprus. As a low-performing country, it showed that there is a need and there is the capability of building up our research infrastructure. This means, however, that we were not going to get 9 of them to Cyprus. There's already been some discussion about this, but we are hoping that our project, which is aimed in a very important part of Cyprus's reality, will be one of the ones that will be chosen. But we have to work hard on it. Fedonas has already spoken about the consortium. So in numbers, we have 7 years of funding from the EU, with extra funding from the government for 15 years. We need to make a business plan for at least 20. We have to show that we will be sustainable. And this funding I have to point out that the funding from the European Union is not to build infrastructure, is to build human resources and to bring people who will do the research and take Cyprus out of a low-performing to a high-performing. So it's not the infrastructure, it's not the equipment, it's the people. And if you bring young people who are doing their doctoral research or their postdoctoral research or researchers that are on a higher level, then this will happen because they will be fighting for funding from the EU and other competitive funding agencies, bringing extra funding in and designing research ideas. So this is the idea, is to build the human, το ανθρώπινο δυναμικό, the human factor. Fedon has already spoken about our research domains, which is heritage exploration, spatial inference, heritage protection, and material characterization. And all of the partners have expertise in this and will collaborate. The key research domains are not separate. They will all interact between each other, and there will be a very strong collaboration in all. What we hope and what we have to plan is to have a personnel of 150 people within the 7 years. So this is really, as I said, a game changer. And I mean, all of you know the need for Cyprus has about cultural heritage protection. And I will not speak much about the project, but first of all, since our two universities are the main academic institutions involved in the project, we have already agreed that there will be two centers for the center for different reasons. Many of the research is done in Nicosia. The Department of Antiquities is here. Most of your research institutions and museums are here, but Limassol also, this is where the PAC's center is. So there will be two places. We'll have to figure out how this will work out, but this is our main aim. And there is already a structure, more or less, of what we envision the center to be, with the board, the administration. We need to create, this will be the creation of a new center rather than an upgrade of an existing center. So this is not an upgrade of the ARU, for example, or of the Department of Geomatics at the PAC. This is a new center built by all the partners together. This will, one of the main issues that was stressed by the European Union is that this has to be an autonomous new center. However, our parents will be the universities and will still have some help and support from the universities, but the new center will be autonomous. I will focus mainly on this material characterization, which is one of the key research domains that our institution is specializing in. I will show that this can be applied in all different types of materials of all periods, and certainly not just archaeological, but also more modern and new aspects of cultural heritage. And we will hopefully be able to build up our laboratories with the funding that comes from the local government, but also from the funding that will come from our universities. The universities themselves will have taken the responsibility of supporting the projects that will go through, because it's highly prestigious for our universities to be able to show that they have won this Center of Excellence. So how can we contribute? How can you be a part of our joint project? With most of you, we have already had collaboration, at least with the unit in terms of the material characterization. We are always here for research collaborations, for example, with the Bank of Cyprus Cultural Foundation, we worked on the analysis of gold coins, this with Evangelini Markou, Andreas Charalamus, Evangelini Markou, and myself. The result was a paper that was published in a very prestigious journal. We've also done work for the Cultural Foundation of Kikos Monastery, often on specific questions. Sometimes it's a quick question that can be solved very readily. Also with the Levenis Municipal Museum, not only on metals, we have also done on ceramics, and of course on stone artifacts. These are our three main areas of expertise, but slowly we will be hopefully expanding to other ones. And of course field work. This is Dora and Andreas doing geochemical analysis in the field, and in all of this we can collaborate and support you or have new synergies in the future. So material characterization is one of these synergies. We can study your and these synergies can start from research projects or research ideas, or they can start from issues that need to be solved, as we have shown before. But it's not just the research, it's also the collaboration at a different level, staff exchange and knowledge transfer, training of your staff within this research center, helping with your needs and bringing everybody up to the new technologies. What we plan to do is we plan to have targeted training, not only for Cyprus, but also for the wider region. We plan to have courses. This is one way we're hoping to bring and make the center sustainable. Summer courses, winter courses on specific subjects of this cultural heritage, and at all levels, undergraduate, graduate, but also at professional level. Conservators, for example, who work in museums or institutions already that need to have a new outlook on the research topics. One of our main aims would be to work extremely closely with foreign missions. Archaeology has moved on to the 21st century. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered in the field. Many of our colleagues often contact us either to collaborate or to use our equipment because they don't want to bring their own equipment from abroad. This is something that we want to enhance more, and hopefully we will do another Info Day specifically for the foreign missions who are usually here in the summer. And again, the Info Days is mostly also to exchange ideas and to see what you want out of this collaboration. Digitization and outreach. Digital heritage is something that is extremely important. Yesterday we had a lecture here by Dr. Tracy Ireland. It's the way of the future, but it's also something that we need to keep controlling and doing in a proper way. Best practices. We mustn't substitute cultural heritage with digital cultural heritage. The other thing that we can do together is apply for competitive funding, build together consortia, I suppose, for new applications, and hopefully the expertise that will be amassed in the center will help institutions like yours, museums, and smaller private institutions that may not have this expertise. And as academics, our institutions are pushing us to apply for funding. So we are getting a much more, perhaps too much experience in trying to get funding. But this is something that we can help. So this is something that we can apply together. It's not always easy to maneuver through the system of the research executive agency. You need to be able to write a proposal in a certain way, and you need to be able to apply for the right program that will ensure that you have a good chance of getting your project, and this is hopefully something that we can do together. Scholarships. This is something that we can collaborate. We will try and establish a scholarship scheme, hopefully with support. This is one of the ways that an institution can help. And these scholarships can be on subjects that relate to your own collections, for example. A PhD on the study of the material that is in your collection, either written, photographic, artistic, or ancient material culture. So this is something that it will be beneficial to all. There will be a new scientist that comes out with a PhD. Some of your collections will be studied and brought out to the broader public, and I think everybody benefits from this. The MedSTACH project is linked to the smart specialization, and for Cyprus, tourism has always been one of the key issues. As we learned from our colleagues from CTO, one of the main problems that Cyprus faces is that tourism at this point starts in April and ends in October. But all of you who live here know that the weather and the sun still shine from November till March, and sometimes it's even nicer. We want to give reasons for people to come back. So, as I said, the training courses don't need only to be for professionals, but they can be for interested public, for the interested public who wants to come to Cyprus and have a course in Cypriot archaeology, in Cypriot medieval history, or something like this, or train in new techniques. So this will be one of our aims through the center, to bring people to Cyprus in the off-season and extend the season of visitors to Cyprus. And there's many more. Development of applications for interactive satellite tables and big screens in museums and tourist information centers. All of you who have been to the state museums and have been to an exhibition abroad will see that there is a few decades of difference between the way that things are done. Hopefully we can help to change this. Promotion of touristic networks, path for the promotion of remote antiquities, remote monitoring of ancient sites, and planning of balanced development of touristic infrastructures. I'm sure all of you have seen articles this summer about Venice and how much Venice is suffering from too much tourism, and how the local people and the monuments are suffering. And in Cyprus, I know from the colleagues in the Department of Antiquities, the visits from the cruise ships are now putting a lot of stress on the sites, which are not used to receiving so many visitors at the time. It's important to monitor this and to see and to help and to solve the problem before it becomes too big. IT applications, virtual reality, reconstructions, digital archives, all this is the thing of the now, not the future. Exploitation of Copernicus services regarding Earth observation for safeguarding cultural heritage and sites. Aerial photography and Google Earth even can, if you go to the historical photographs of Google Earth, you can already see, for example, the sprawling of the cities and how they're suddenly reaching the boundaries of ancient sites. Crowdsourcing applications for the promotion of historical sites. For example, my specific interest is mining and copper production in Cyprus. Most Cypriots don't know anything about mining in Cyprus. It's not something in there. But if we start informing them, then I think there's a lot to gain. And monitoring of cultural heritage monuments and historical buildings with smart technologies, crack monitoring systems, remote weather stations, noise pollution, etc. So how can you be part of the center? The first and easiest thing is enroll to our newsletters to stay informed. we can have a one-to-one meeting. Today is one of the first with a bigger group, but we can have a one-to-one meeting so we can focus more in detail how we can collaborate. We can explore mutual interests and benefits through these key research domains that we have outlined. We can promote your particular interests through targeted actions, as I said, lead and collaborate in specific applications for funding, and provide a letter of commitment that describes this kind of needs that you would like met by our center. And this letter of commitment, we can discuss this when we have one-to-one meetings, can show how you would be willing to collaborate with the center and how this center hopefully it will be here to help in your needs. So communicate, collaborate, and support. You can keep in touch with us. We can collaborate so that your needs are met, and we can support you can support us hopefully to get the project and build this center of excellence. So thank you very much. So this was the presentation part of the day, but we can have an open discussion, questions and discussion about this project. Γιώργο, θέλω να κάτσουμε εδώ μπροστά. Και ναι, έλα εδώ για να το...
So this project is the only one out of the 50 ones that